Hello, hello! Beats Pax here, and we're back with Fallout Commander Deck number 2. This is Scrappy Survivors, which is the red, green, white one, which is faced by Dogmeat Ever Loyal. Such a creative name for a dog. But let's get into this and see what we get. Alright. Alright. We have our themed deck box. It is a nice pre-fold tuck box with dog meat on the back. Then our color symbols on each side. Nice Fallout logo on the top. We have 3 tokens there. And 8 counters on the side. These are a little different. Previous one just had +1/+1 counters. This has some kind of exclamation point and what looks like a shield counter. Right. We've got our deck, our pamphlet, the black envelope of goodness. Right. In the black envelope of goodness, we have our themed life spend down life counter and a collector booster sample pack. These feel really thick. I wonder what's in them. We're going to do all 16 of the Fallout collector booster sample packs at the end in their own video. So keep an eye out for that. That should be going out Saturday if you're watching this as it came out. All right, in the pamphlet, it is double-sided. It's a little fold-up thing. Nice little portrait of Dogmeat. A bio of Dogmeat Ever Loyal and Preston Garvey, a Minuteman. And there's an overview of the magic color pie and why Dogmeat and Preston Garvey are red, green, and white aligned. On the back side, we have a quick overview of the deck itself and a reminder of the rules for Commander. It's just a brief overview of them. All right, now that we have that squared away, we'll get to the star attraction, which is the deck. This is Scrappy Survivors. And as with other ones, yes, we will pull in to see these as clearly as possible. Alright, so we have Dogmeat Ever Loyal. Red, green, white for a 3/3 legendary dog. When it enters the battlefield, mill 5 cards, then return an aura or equipment card from your graveyard to your hand. Whenever a creature you control that's enchanted or equipped attacks, create a junk token. A junk is an artifact with tap. Sacrifice this artifact, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. Activate only as a sorcery. Very nice. We have Preston Garvey, Minutemen. 2 red, green, white for 4/4 legendary human soldier. At the beginning of combat on your turn, create a green aura enchantment token named Settlement, attached up to one target land you control. It has enchant land, and enchanted land has tap, add 1 mana of any color. Okay. Whenever Preston Garvey Minutemen attacks, untap each enchanted permanent you control. Okay, that's pretty good. Alright, next up we have Brotherhood Outcast. 2 and a white for a 3/2 human soldier. When it enters the battlefield, choose one. Return target aura or equipment card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Put a shield counter on target creature. Shield counter says if it would be dealt damage or destroyed, remove a shield counter from it instead. Commander Sophia Degire? Or Degare? 3 and a white for a 1/3 legendary human pilot with flash and crash landing. When this enters the battlefield, destroy up to 1 target legendary permanent. That permanent's controller creates a junk token. Oh, that's just rude. So just being able to blink this, you can just start blowing up people's commanders. That is very rude. Next up, we have Acquired Mutation. 2 and a red for an enchantment aura, enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and is goaded. It attacks each combat if able and attacks a player other than you if able. Whenever enchanted creature attacks, defending player gets 2 red counters. That's rad. Crimson Caravaner. Or Caravaner. Caravaneer? It's a strange word. I believe that's someone that's in a caravan. But 2 and a red for a 1/2 human scout with double strike and trample. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, create a junk token. Ian the Reckless. 1 and a red for a 2/1 legendary human warrior. Whenever it attacks, if it's modified, you may have it deal damage equal to its power to you and any target. Equipment, auras you control, and counters are modifications. Big Horner Rancher? Man, there's some funny names. I forgot how strange the names in Fallout are. 4 and a green for a 2/5 human ranger with vigilance. Tap, add an amount of green equal to the greatest power among creatures you control. Sacrifice this, you gain life equal to the greatest toughness among other creatures you control. Breakdown. 2 and a green, instant, destroy target artifact or enchantment, create a junk token. Nice. Gunner Conscript. 1 and a green for 2/2 human mercenary with trample. It gets +1/+1 for each aura and equipment attached to it. When it dies, if it was enchanted, create a junk token. When it dies, if it was equipped, create a junk token. Oh, that's cool. Super Mutant Scavenger. 4 and a green for a 5/5 mutant warrior with trample. Whenever it enters the battlefield or dies, return up to 1 target aura or equipment card from your graveyard to your hand. Okay. Well Rested. 1 and a green, enchantment aura, enchant creature. Enchanted creature has, whenever this creature becomes untapped, put 2 +1/+1 counters on it. Then you gain 2 life and draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. I think they very much had to put the only triggers once each turn on this. Otherwise, you could just get silly very quickly with untap effects. Or any any token producer, anything that taps to create a token plus intruder alarm or something similar. Agility Bobblehead. 3 mana artifact, Bobblehead. Tap, add 1 mana of any color. 3 tap. Up to X target creatures you control each gain haste until end of turn and can't be blocked this turn except by creatures with haste, where X is the number of bobbleheads you control as you activate this ability. Okay. Perception Bobblehead. 3 mana artifact, Bobblehead. Tap, add 1 mana of any color. 3 and tap, look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of bobbleheads you control. You may cast a spell with mana value 3 or less from among them without paying its mana cost. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So, neat thing about this is a bobblehead that gets other bobbleheads. So, interesting. Silver Shroud Costume. 2 mana artifact equipment with flash. When it enters the battlefield, attach it to target creature you control. That creature gains Shroud until end of turn. It can't be the target of spells or abilities. Keep in mind, Shroud includes your own spells and abilities. It's the symmetrical form of hexproof that predates hexproof. And then equip creature can't be blocked. Equip 3. Very nice. All That Glitters. This is a reprint with some really cool art. 1 and a white, enchantment aura, enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact and or enchantment you control. Very nice. Path to Exile. For a white, you get an instant. Exile target creature. Its controller may search their library for a basic land, put that card onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Keep in mind, this is the second best piece of removal ever printed. Second only to Swords to Plowshares. Valorous Stance. Oddly enough, this is currently in Standard. And the art for this kind of looks like it should be in Crimson Vow or Midnight Hunt. But 1 and a white, instant. Choose one. Target creature gains indestructible until end of turn, or destroy target creature with toughness 4 or greater. Sticky Fingers. Red for an enchantment aura, enchant creature. I believe this is also in Standard right now, actually. Enchanted creature has menace, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, create a treasure token. It can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures. Treasure is an artifact with tap. Sacrifice this artifact, add 1 mana of any color. When enchanted creature dies, draw a card. Actually, yeah, this was definitely in Streets of New Capenna. Abundant Growth. For green, you get an enchantment aura, enchant land. When Abundant Growth enters the battlefield, draw a card. Enchanted land has tap, add 1 mana of any color. Fertile Ground, 1 and a green. Enchantment aura, enchant land. Whenever enchanted land is tapped for mana, its controller adds an additional 1 mana of any color. Very nice, good ramp cards. Rancor. This is a great one for Boggles in pretty much every format that it's legal, which I think is every format that you would really want to play Boggles, except for Standard. But for a green, you get an enchantment aura, enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +2/+0 and has trample. Whenever Rancor is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, return Rancor to its owner's hand. Squirrel Nest. This used to be really good with Earthcraft to make infinite squirrel tokens. Also, my apologies if you can hear that. I live fairly close to a fire station, so somebody's being rescued. But Squirrel Nest. 1 green enchantment aura, enchant land. Enchanted land has tap, create a 1/1 green squirrel creature token. Wild Growth. One moment. Sorry about that. Wild Growth. For green, you get an enchantment aura, enchant land. Whenever enchanted land is tapped for mana, its controller adds an additional green. So we've got almost the entire, green common ramp package off of enchantments. Behemoth Sledge, 1 green-white for an artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has trample and lifelink. Equip 3. So this is very similar to Luxodon Warhammer, just a little worse in some ways. In that it's not colorless. Arcane Signet. We all know what this does by now, but 2 mana artifact, taps for your commander's color identity. Brass Knuckles, also in Standard. This was also in Streets of New Capenna. But 4 mana artifact equipment. Whenever you cast a spell, copy it. The copy becomes a token. Equipped creature has double strike as long as 2 or more equipment are attached to it. Equip 1. Explorer's Scope. 1 mana artifact equipment. Whenever equipped creature attacks, look at the top card of your library. If it's a land card, you may put it onto the battlefield tapped. Equip 1. Fire Shrieker. It's nice that this has a reprint. 3 mana artifact equipment. Equipped creature has double strike. Equip 2. Soul Ring. We all know what Soul Ring does by now, but 1 mana artifact that taps for 2. Codsworth, Handy Helper. 2 and a white for a 2/3 legendary artifact creature robot. Commanders you control have Ward 2. Tap, add white. Spend this mana only to cast aura and or equipment spells. Tap, attach target aura or equipment you control to target creature you control. Activate only as a sorcery. Idolized. 1 and a white, enchantment aura, enchant creature. Enchanted creature has, whenever this creature attacks alone, it gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of non-land permanents you control. Whoa, that's pretty strong. That almost gives your non-land permanents exalted, but not quite. Pre-war formal wear. 2 and a white for an artifact equipment. When it enters the battlefield, return target creature card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield and attach pre-war formal wear to it. Equip creature gets +2/+2 and has vigilance. Equip 3. Vault 101 Birthday Party. 3 and a white for a 3-stage enchantment saga. Chapter 1, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token and a food token. A food token is an artifact with 2, tap, sacrifice this artifact, you gain 3 life. And then chapters 2 and 3 are both, you may put an aura or equipment card from your graveyard onto the battlefield. If an equipment is put onto the battlefield this way, you may attach it to a creature you control. So keep in mind that doesn't have a pricing restriction, so you can put crazy stuff like WRG conscription into play off of that. Duchess, Wayward Tavern Keep. 3 and a red for 4/3 legendary human citizen with Hunters for Hire. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, put a quest counter on it. 1, remove a quest counter from a permanent you control, create a junk token. That's pretty cool. Grim Reaper's Sprint. 4 and a red enchantment. Aura. Morbid. This spell costs 3 less to cast. If a creature died this turn, enchant creature. When this enters the battlefield, untap each creature you control. If it's your main phase, there is an additional combat phase after this phase. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and has haste. Junk Jet. 1 and a red for an artifact equipment. When it enters the battlefield, create a junk token. 3, sacrifice another artifact, double equip creature's power until end of turn. Equip 1. Megaton's Fate, or Megaton's Fate, yeah. 5 and a red, sorcery, choose 1, disarm, destroy target artifact, create 4 treasure tokens, or detonate. Megaton's Fate deals 8 damage to each creature. Each player gets 4 rad counters. That's pretty sweet. A nice, versatile, potential sweeper. Vault 21, House Gambit. 2 and a red for a 3-chapter enchantment saga. Chapters 1 and 2, discard a card, then draw a card. Chapter 3, reveal up to 5 non-land cards from your hand. For each of those cards that has the same mana value as another card, revealed this way, create a treasure token. That's interesting. Veronica, Dissident Scribe. 2 and a red for a 3/3 legendary artifact, or legendary human artificer rogue with menace. Whenever it attacks, you may draw a card. If you do, draw a card. Or you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. Whenever you discard 1 or more non-land cards for the first time each turn, create a junk token. That's pretty cool. Animal Friend. 1 and a green for an enchantment aura. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature has, whenever this creature attacks, create a 1/1 green squirrel creature token. Put a +1/+1 counter on that token for each aura and equipment attached to this creature other than Animal Friend. Oh, that could get pretty silly pretty quickly. Strong back. Okay. 2 and a green for an enchantment aura. Enchant creature. Equip abilities you activate that target enchanted creature costs 3 less to activate. Aura spells you cast that target enchanted creature costs 3 less to activate. Enchant creature gets +2/+2 for each aura and equipment attached to it. That is silly, and I love it. Almost perfect. 4 green-white. Enchantment aura. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature has base power and toughness 9/10 and has indestructible. Very nice. Armory Paladin. 1 red-white for a 3/3 human knight with trample. Whenever you cast an aura or equipment spell, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card until the end of your next turn. Now see, several of these cards could have just been put through standard. I'm not sure why they had to do this, but it's fine. Kate, Cage Brawler. Red-green for a 1/1 legendary human warrior. As long as it's your turn, Cage Brawler has indestructible. Whenever it attacks and you discard, or whenever it attacks, you and defending player each draw a card, then discard a card. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on Kate if you discarded the card with the highest mana value among those cards or tied for the highest. Okay. That could get out of hand very quickly, but not so sure. Cass, Hand of Vengeance. 2 red-white for a 4/3 legendary human ranger with vigilance. Whenever it or another creature you control dies, if it was enchanted or equipped, return any number of aura cards that were attached to it from your graveyard to the battlefield attached to target creature, then attach any number of equipment that were attached to it to that creature. Okay. That is a lot of text. Inventory management. Red-white, instant, split second. Oh, I haven't seen a new card with this mechanic in a very long time. As long as a spell is on the stack, players can't cast spells or activate abilities that aren't mana abilities. For each aura and equipment you control, you may attach it to a creature you control. This would make Hammer Time even sillier than it already is, but fortunately it's not going to be legal in Modern. Moira Brown, Guide Author. 1 red-white for a 2/3 legendary human citizen. When this enters the battlefield, create a colorless equipment artifact token named Wasteland Survival Guide with equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each quest counter among permanents you control and equip 1. Whenever you attack, put a quest counter on target non-land permanent you control. Okay. 3 Dog, Galaxy News DJ. 1 red-white for a 1/5 legendary human bard. With whenever you attack, you may pay 2 and sacrifice an aura attached to 3 Dog. When you sacrifice an aura this way, for each other attacking creature you control, create a token that's a copy of that aura attached to that creature. Huh. That could be very, very powerful with the right stuff. Mr. Gutsy. Say, for 2, you get a 1/1 artifact creature, robot soldier. Whenever you cast an aura or equipment spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Mr. Gutsy. When it dies, create X junk tokens where X is the number of +1/+1 counters on it. Okay, that's pretty cool. Pip-Boy 3000. 1 mana artifact equipment. Whenever equipped creature attacks, choose 1. Sort inventory, draw a card, then discard a card. Pick a perk. Put a +1/+1 counter on that creature. Check map. Untap up to 2 target lands, and then it has equipped 2. Junktown. It's a land that taps for a colorless, and then for 4 and a red, tap, sacrifice Junktown, create 3 junk tokens. Alright. Sunscorched Divide. It's a filter land for red-white. So pay 1 and tap, add red-white to your mana pool. Mantle of the Ancients. 3 white-white, enchantment aura, enchant creature you control. When this enters the battlefield, return any number of target aura and or equipment cards that could be attached to enchanted creature from your graveyard to the battlefield attached to enchanted creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each aura and equipment attached to it. You know, I think Boggles players are going to absolutely love this deck, because this is just a pure Voltron deck. Speaking of which, Pure Steel Paladin. So we now get our, I think, 2nd or 3rd art in the last 6 months for this card. That are new arts. For white-white, you get a 2/2 Human Knight. Whenever an equipment enters the battlefield under your control, you may draw a card. Metalcraft. Equip creatures you control, or equipment you control have equip 0 as long as you control 3 or more artifacts. Alright. Single combat. 3 white sorcery. Each player chooses a creature or planeswalker they control, then sacrifices the rest. Players can't cast creature or planeswalker spells until the end of your next turn. Blasphemous Act. 8 and a red, sorcery. They cost 1 less to cast for each creature on the battlefield. Blasphemous Act deals 13 damage to each creature. Chaos Warp. 2 and a red, instant. The owner of target permanent shuffles it into their library, then reveals the top card of their library. If it's a permanent card, they put it into the battlefield. Heroic Intervention. This has had a few reprints lately, which is pretty nice. 1 and a green, instant. Permanents you control gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Basilisk Collar. 1 mana artifact equipment. Equipped creature has Death Touch and Lifelink. Equipped 2. It's got the good boy on it. Bloodforged Battle Axe. 1 mana artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+0. When equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, create a token that's a copy of Bloodforged Battle Axe. Equipped 2. Champion's Helm. 3 mana artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+2. As long as equipped creature is legendary, it has hexproof. It can't be the target of spells or ability to your opponent's control. Equip 1. Masterwork of Ingenuity. 1 mana artifact equipment. You may have Masterwork of Ingenuity enter the battlefield as a copy of any equipment on the battlefield. Very nice. Canopy Vista. It's a forest plains that enters tapped unless you control 2 or more basic lands. The typed lands can be fetched with fetch lands, by the way. Cinderglade. Mountain Forest. Enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more basic lands. So, 2 of the Tango lands, and then Clifftop Retreat. This was one of the fast lands. Or buddy lands, I guess. I have forgotten what these were called. When it enters the battlefield tapped unless you control a mountain or plains, and it taps for a red or a white. Exotic Orchard. Taps for 1 mana of any color that a land your opponents control could produce. It taps for whatever your opponent's lands tap for. Mossfire Valley. It's the red-green filter land. Rootbound Crag. It's the red-green fast land. Or buddy land, rather. Scattered Groves. Forest plains that enters the battlefield tapped and cycles for 2. Scavenger Grounds. Land Desert. Taps for colorless, and then 2, sacrifice a desert, exile all graveyards. So in this context, yes, it can sacrifice itself. When this was printed, deserts were pushed pretty heavily in the same set. I doubt there's going to be any other deserts in this set, though, or in this deck. Sheltered Thicket. Mountain Forest. Enters tapped, cycles for 2. Sungrass Prairie. It's the green-white filter land. Sunpetal Grove. It's the green-white buddy land. Temple of Abandon. So I'm guessing we have all 3 temples. Yes, we do. This is the red-green one, but enters the battlefield tapped, and then when it enters, you scry 1. Taps for red or green. Same thing, but for green-white. Same thing for red-white. That's Temple of Plenty and Temple of Triumph. Swiftfoot Boots. They're roller skates. That's awesome. 2 mana artifact equipment. Equipped creature has hexproof and haste. Equip 1. Ash Barrens. Pauper All-Star. It's a land that taps for colorless and has basic land cycling 1. So you can pay 1 and discard this card to search your library for a basic land card, reveal it and put it into your hand, then shuffle. Buried Ruin. Taps for a colorless, and then 2, tap, sacrifice it, return target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. Command Tower. Taps for your commander's color identity. Evolving Wilds. Tap and sacrifice it, search your library for a basic, put it on the battlefield tap, then shuffle. Jungle Shrine. Enters the battlefield tapped, and then taps for red, green, or white. Path of Ancestry. Enters the battlefield tapped, taps for your commander's color identity. Whenever a mana is spent, or whenever that mana is spent to cast a creature spell that shares a creature type with your commander, scry 1. Roadside Reliquary. I believe this is also in standard. Taps for colorless, and then 2, tap and sacrifice it. Draw a card if you control an artifact, then draw a card if you control an enchantment. Rogue's Passage. Taps for a colorless, and then 4 and tap. Target creature can't be blocked this turn. Temple of the False God. Land, taps for 2, activate only if you control 5 or more lands. Terramorphic Expanse, functionally the same as Evolving Wilds. Tap, sacrifice it, search your library for a basic, put it on the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. Now we have some full art themed lands. Let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 mountains with 2 different arts. This forest is also in the other green deck. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 forests with 2 different arts. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4 plains with 2 different arts. Very nice. And there's the etched foil, extra thick, like display copy of Dogmeat Ever Loyal. Very nice. We have some tokens. We have 2 junk tokens that are a squirrel and a treasure token on the back. We have 2 settlement tokens. One is a human soldier, the other is a food token. Very nice. We have a treasure token that is the Wasteland Survival Guide token. Then we have a food token. It's a squirrel. And we have 4 radiation counter tokens that are treasures and copies on the back. Very cool. There's a Learn to Play Magic ad card and a turn order and format reminder card, which we have in every commander deck at this point. Very nice. All right. Well, thank you for joining me on this adventure with Fallout Commander in the Universes Beyond. This was Scrappy Survivors? Yeah, Scrappy Survivors, which was the red, green, white deck. As always, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff for the algorithm. We really appreciate it, and it helps us continue to bring you these great videos. And until next time, stay awesome. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye.